it means the margin that is there between what was and what is, there are people feasting on it. Those are the owners of G2G. When we never had G2G, the Kenya shillings to USD was 118, maximum 120. Now after G2G, it is at 130. So which is better? When we never had G2G, euro to Kenya shillings was 116. It is now over 150. Which is better? Their leaders are not taking money off their citizens' pockets through oil. That is why they are paying cheaper. But here, when Kenyans are crying in the pump, that we can come here to debate an issue where our leaders are taking money directly from Kenyans through G2G, their vehicle, their kiosk, their political vehicles and patronage. I hope I'm clear there. Let me go to the substance. Brother, you get the time.
Could I?
Kindly. Let me know. G2G is a SCADO. G2G is a kiosk. G2G is a profiteering machine for the people in power. I start with trivialities first. Then I go to the substantive issues that were put by my brother from EPRA. No, I am being honest. I start with trivialities. You know, some of these people, especially the proponents of the regime, when you come to see this kind of a show, I think the Mwakenya they are given is that you come and trivialize issues so that people move away from real issues that we are discussing. We then start diving into the swamp of trivialities. So I'll start there briefly. My brother talked about Kenya Power and shares. Let me start with that triviality first. And being the chair of finance, you ought to know that the capital market in Kenya, which is anchored through the Nairobi Securities Exchange, is one of the ways that our country can grow. All the countries from South Korea have grown out of people spurring their capital markets. Secondly, I think he needs to learn from some of the people in this bench or on this bench that despite many people who want to invest whatever money they have buying apartments in Dubai, investing G2G money in the other countries, that there are still patriotic Kenyans who are leaders, who buy shares in our own NSC. They do not use proxies. They do not use nominee accounts. If you need to hide when you're buying shares in Kenya, it's something I've done from my first year in campus. You can use nominee accounts where you just these shareholders, you never see their names. I buy any share through my name, not even a company name, my own direct name, because I am very proud about it. And actually everywhere I am invited to talk. I wish you get some minutes even in this show. I tell Kenyans that it's important that even as we invest in many other areas, we grow our own capital markets through investing in our own NSC. So if maybe you have been given that as part of the issue of distractionary measures in this show, I am sorry, my brother. Secondly...
Hold on. You still have 26 million shares at KPLC.
Maybe there are more. Jeff, can I tell you something? Because I believe there are many youthful Kenyans who are watching us. I bought Kenya Power shares at an average of 1.8 shillings. They are now today at 17 shillings. Millions of Kenyans have bought. When you buy shares in the NSC, you become what we call a minority shareholder. I just want my brother to know some of these things. You can buy KCB shares tomorrow. You don't become a decision, part of the decision making. You become a passive investor in the company. I hope I'm clear there. Let me go to the substantive. Brother, you get the time.
Could I?
Kindly. Let me now go to the substantive issues. And I want Kenyans to go with me step by step without remembering these diversions. And I'll go actually to the point that my brother from EPRA was perpetuating in this show. Let me start again by saying here, for the record, G2G is a SCADO. G2G is a kiosk. G2G is a profiteering machine for the people in power. The companies you mentioned there, the people, some are also agrarian. They don't even hide their identities. One of the local companies, you see clearly the owners are the opposition leaders. When did it join G2G? After 2024 protest. And he talked about it. And I don't run away from responsibility. The point is, instead of us as leaders listening to what the Kenyan people wanted us to do, which were credible things, in whichever side you are in that time, it was important that we address the issues. But what did we do? We blanketed the issues. Then the political elite went into a room, cut deals. One of the deals was about G2G, inclusion of that company you mentioned there. Why? Political patronage. So let me be sequential. He talked about G2G, how it is good and dollars, some mini semantics and kizugumingi. But let's just break it down. We talk about G2G, it has stabilized our shillings. We pay in shillings. Which shillings? After 6 months, you still have to pay dollars. We don't pay Saudi Aramco in Kenya shillings. After time, you still have to pay dollars. So that's one. How has our performance in exchange rate performed since G2G? When we never had G2G, the Kenya shillings to USD was 118, maximum 120. Now after G2G, it is at 130. So which is better? When we never had G2G, euro to Kenya shillings was 116. It is now over 150. Which is better? The Great Britain pound was around 136 Kenya shillings to 1 GPB. Now, oscillating around 170 to 174. So that is hogwash all around exchange rate. Let's now come to the other issue in terms of G2G. Any arrangement you do as government, your clients are the people of Kenya. The clients of leadership should always be the people. Propagating what is good for the people is fulfilling your mandate as a leader. How do you fulfill that mandate in the oil sector? It is by making sure that the people you are leading are paying less for the same oil. Let's now distinguish Kenya when there was G2G, when there was no G2G, and when there is now profiteering out of G2G. The fuel, the barrel of oil globally, when there was no G2G, was $115 per barrel. How much were we paying at the pump? 160 for petrol, 140 for diesel. That is 2022, zero G2G, zero political patronage, zero scam. After the scam of G2G, the oil per barrel is now 98. Today, how much are Kenyans paying in the pump? 206. Remove first of all the communication there for consistency. We use what was there before. Kenyans are paying 206 for diesel, 206 for petrol. So what is better? It means the margin that is there between what was and what is, there are people feasting on it. Those are the owners of G2G. Let me tell you about something else. I wrote some of these things that were being propagated here. Pure propaganda. I was almost laughing, Jeff, that some countries have come to Kenya to benchmark on G2G. And one of the countries that were mentioned by a senior government official on this bench is Burundi. So a country called Burundi, which actually have the capacity in terms of ports, are selling their oil cheaper than Kenya, and people are here taking advantage of misinforming Kenyans that a country came to run to Kenya about G2G, a country that their oil currently and fuel in their own country is cheaper than Kenya. What an oxymoron is that? The last one, but there are many things we can say. G2G. It's called government to government. So who is government in the side of Kenya? Call it G to something else. You have enumerated ADNOC, Saudi Aramco. On their side, they are owned by government of Saudi Arabia and UAE respectively. So because these are countries that have fundamentals in terms of the rule of law, they are engaged in government, their own companies, their own citizens are benefiting. On our side, we are now here being lectured that in Kenya, I don't know, some LCETC, this is the fact. If it was to be G2G, the country would have engaged National Oil Corporation called NOC. Now, do you know what they lied to you? At the capacity. NOC didn't have capacity, and those other short stories. Whose responsibility is it to create capacity in NOC? Isn't it the same leaders Kenyans elect? It is them. Which is the bank that gives LCs?
Go on.
Kenya Commercial Bank. Yes, minority owned by the government of Kenya, but fully controlled by GOK. The same phone calls that were made to Kenya Commercial Banks to support G2G companies which are instruments of patronage. Why couldn't our leaders support our own knock? So that when you come on TV and you say we have G2G, it is a real G2G. G2G, this show, what I'm saying, history will vindicate me. It is a scam, it is a profiteering machine, it is a vehicle of patronage. And that is why Kenyans are paying more than then. Lastly, G2G and other short stories. Why are Kenyans paying more in the pump with this mongrel of G2G? When Uganda without G2G are paying cheaper, Ethiopia without G2G, the Ethiopians are paying cheaper, the people in Rwanda are paying cheaper, in Burundi they are paying cheaper. All these regional economies have nothing called G2G. Their leaders are not taking money off their citizens' pockets through oil. That is why they are paying cheaper. But here, when Kenyans are crying in the pump, that we can come here to debate an issue where our leaders are taking money directly from Kenyans through G2G, their vehicle, their kiosk, their political vehicles, and patronage.